New York and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, this guy, where do we begin?
Where do we begin?
Where do we begin? His name is Matt Barnes. Give it up for him. You don't need those headphones, brother. Now, Matt, we've never had an interview before, but we met before.
Yeah.
I want to start this interview by asking you, do you regret ever being a part of reality TV and that reality show stuff?
I don't regret it. I think, every mishap is a lesson. Obviously from there, it's not a good defamation of who we are as black people, who we try to portray. I think it fits right into the stereotype, and a lot of people buy into that because now it's more about being famous than anything, which is crazy. But on the flip side, that got me into TV, and now I'm producing and directing TV shows and movies, and I think through reality is how that started. So.
And you was on Basketball Wives.
Basketball Wives.
That's when you first came up here, like,
like
5-6 years ago, right?
Longer than that.
Been that long?
Yeah, it was long. Like, man, it was.
So that
It might have been
first,
10 years
Yeah,
ago.
it was a
10?
minute.
Wow.
He was on Basketball Wives original.
The original one. Yeah, I played with Shaq when Shaq was trying to see if that started with his ex-wife.
Oh, right.
Very against it, and somehow he suckered me into letting my ex go on there, and the rest is literally.
Damn.
So
Shaq.
wait. Hold up. Take a step back. Shaquille O'Neal and his ex-wife were involved in creating Basketball Wives?
Yeah, that's Shawnee's.
I knew that was Shawnee's, but I didn't know Shaquille was
Shaq
cool
was
with
behind
it.
Yeah, no, Shaq was behind it, and he tried to talk. We played together. Took like 2 months. 'Cause
That
I was all
changes the whole
against it.
thing.
Because we had just had twins, just moved to a new team, probably been together for like a year. You know what I mean? So we went from having 2 babies and being together brand new to being on TV, which was
A lot.
wasn't a good move. Yeah.
So, and the reason I ask you that is because I feel like, Matt Barnes driving 90 miles to go that whole thing, right?
Yeah.
With you and Derek Fisher.
Yeah.
It doesn't have. It may have happened in your personal life. Like it could have for real happened
Right.
where somebody you worked with and your ex got together and things got
Right.
crazy. That could really happen in anybody's life. But it doesn't become a headline really
Right.
without you being on those reality shows.
Right. Or basketball. You know what I mean? I realize that obviously once you play in the NBA, your kind of life is somewhat of an open book, but once you open your life to reality TV, there's no privacy period. So anything I do, say,
It's a story.
anything, yeah. So it's crazy. I get tired of hearing myself on blogs and seeing just like, because most of the time it's lies anyway. So it's just like, damn, like, nothing else to talk about today?
Yeah, but to your point, at the same time, it's had some upside, right? Because it makes you more interesting than another player of the same NBA ilk. You're more interesting than that person.
Well, you hit a good point, because I'm not like a superstar by any means. I know I played 15 years. I was a role player. I did what I did. But,
Right.
My name is talked about, as much as some of the bigger names. And I think it's a combination of basketball and the reality and just my off-the-court lifestyle, I think.
Well, yeah, because it opens you up to a whole nother audience. There's people who don't
Exactly.
even care about you playing
At
basketball.
all.
They just care
Right.
about your personal relationships and the opinions that they have.
Right. But the crazy thing about reality TV is people think it's true and people think it's actually reality, but it's all scripted.
Of course.
Like none of that
We
stuff
hear
is real.
mixed. Some people say it is. Some people say it isn't. Some
shit
say
is-
aspects are. Some
That shit
people.
is scripted. I mean, they'll give you a scenario. They'll create like a troublesome scenario and let you kind of play it out, but they create the actual.
It's kind of like improv, right?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, none of these girls are friends. None of these girls know each other before the show, but they try to make it seem like they came up together. They real people, but they're not.
Where's the relationship between you and Derek Fisher now?
Actually, me and Derek are cool. Like it's crazy, and I say this. Derek and I get along better than I get along with my ex. We squashed our. I told him, why I came at him the way I did, and he understood. Like to me,
Why
it's just
did you
it's
come
just
at
a
him?
respect factor to me. I wouldn't agree. I don't really agree with dating my ex-wife situation. If we're teammates for a certain amount of time, I don't agree with that. But I even push that to the side. But you can't be living in my house that I pay for around my twins and not tell me. So that's the
Oh, you
reason
didn't
why
know?
I had no idea.
And when you
So they-
found out that
your son
day-
just
I
called
found
you
out
and is
that
like,
day.
this dude's here. And so would you have handled it differently had there been a conversation
Yeah,
of
that's what I
like,
told him. I was just like, there's probably no easy way to, come at me with that, but I respected you more. I told them both. There's just a certain way you handle things. You know what I mean? And I told them if they would have came at me the right way, I wouldn't have liked it, but I would have respected it. But the fact that
and you was in a place as a dad and as a co-parent that it was like, of course she's gonna live her life. She's gonna do.
Absolutely. I think that's the people that they might make the mistake. I just think our relationship ran its course. 8 years, a lot of ups and downs, and I just got tired and left. and then I divorced her. So I know she's an attractive, young lady, and she's going to date and she's going to do her, which is completely fine. Like I said, and the fact that he dated my ex-wife, I didn't like it, but it wasn't let me mess this dude up because of that. My whole thing was the respect factor that, bro, you living in my house and around my 2 kids, which I care dearly for and will kill for, and you think it's okay to sneak around and play that kind of games. And that was the only thing. It was just rules to the game, really.
How well did you know him?
Well, we played together for a while.
That was the issue. Remember,
no, I know, but people play on teams. But
Derek and I were cool. Derek was, I think he had a lot of people fooled. Derek was kind of like not like the big brother, but just the kind of do right type dude. That's what he tried to portray. But
I always saw that. Like I always thought that.
Well,
was
wasn't he had a child that was sick, correct?
Yeah.
And so a lot of the stories were about him and his family and doing whatever they could to take care of their child. So I think he did have an image of
right, and that was his whole story. Where he told Phil Jackson that his daughter was sick and he had to fly home to see her, but he left training camp and he went home to see my family. So that was the whole thing. Like this man left training camp. This all happened during training camp. He's the head coach of the Knicks. I'm playing on the Grizzlies. And that's when this all went down. He went home saying he was flying home to see his sick daughter and found out he was at my crib in Redondo Beach. Or my old crib, excuse me.
So
let's talk about how the hands that you actually put on him when you saw him. Give us the actual blow by blow, because at the time everyone wanted to know.
Was it an actual fight or it was just like a?
I mean, I wouldn't call it a fight, man. He was running around screaming. He really didn't swing. He was, we was trying to talk, and I'm just like, man, you had a lot of time to try to talk to me. This is no time for talking. You know what I mean? So they were actually having like a little get together when it happened. So I didn't really
at your house.
I didn't really get get the straight beat down. So I had to do it like 3 separate times where I get them and then people pull me off, and I get them again and people pull me off, and I get them again type shit. So.
Oh man.
Now where were your kids at this time?
Is there any camera phone footage? Any camera phone footage?
I wish the shit would be crazy, man. It would be crazy if someone, everything is caught on camera phone. I think that everything happened so quick and everyone was so surprised that no one really filmed it.
Is he not head coach material with behavior like that?
It's hard. I think, because we're men, so another man coaching another man is a touchy situation. But I think as players, you got to respect your coach first and foremost. You know what I mean? And then, people don't respect stuff like that. If you're a snake and you move foul, men, we're not respecting that. So no matter what your position or your title is, you don't have respect as a man. So it's hard to get the attention of other men if you don't have that respect.
You heard there was a rumor afterwards, right, that he supposedly hooked up with a chick that one of the Knicks had hooked up with too?
A couple of them, a couple players, yeah.
And do you think that's true?
Probably. You know how snakes move like snakes, so it wouldn't be surprising.
I thought you said y'all was pretty good.
Hold on. I know.
But
okay.
I mean, like I said, the only reason why we are cool is because my kids like him a lot. Daddy, we really like Derek because they're still together. They live together.
Yeah,
and all
they
that
are,
way,
yeah.
I'm completely.
They moved out of your house.
They got a house together. But my kids are the ones that really, Daddy, you and Derek should be friends. We really like him. So at the expense of, I'm not in love with my ex. I wish her well. I always love her because she's my ex. But at the end of the day, I want her to be happy. And the most important thing is I want my kids to be happy.
That's right. If the mom's happy, the kids can be happy.
So, my boys are really messing with him, so that's why I kind of just put everything to the side and, we explained, we shook hands and everything was cool.
But don't be laying up in my crib, B.
That's my, especially if that's my whole thing is, my ex is one thing, I kind of thought that was a shady thing, but don't be playing with my kids.
Now, I want to run through some things here. These are things on Matt Barnes. A few headlines here.
Ain't no telling.
It says here, Matt Barnes blasts problem Doc Rivers after the Clippers trade Blake Griffin. Is this a thing?
That's accurate.
You not feeling Doc Rivers?
No, I mean, to me, it's a tricky situation. We had a very talented team with the Clippers, and won 56 games. The year Doc came in, and he's supposed to come in and basically cure cancers, the way they explained it. So they made him president, GM, and head coach.
Well, I mean, he was coming out of the Celtics, where they had
but I mean, he had 3 or 4 Hall of Famers there with great role players.
Right.
He got to get for although he did work. Let me not discredit what he did there. They won a championship, and that's very tough to do. But he just came here with just this. Started off real cool with everybody, but just when you have president, GM, and head coach responsibility, those are a lot of different hats. So you got to tell the brutal, honest truth because that's what you're getting paid a lot of money for. And he just played a lot of games with the truth, talking to us like we're like young and dumb and we didn't understand the politics of basketball and what goes on and, understand the power he had, because we all knew the power he had and all the decisions were made by him, so players get traded, players come to the team. He wanted to act like he had nothing to do with it, but, that's his title. Like, just keep it real with us, you know what I mean? And that's all we asked as players, so, I mean, when he slowly started dismantling the best team the Clippers ever had,
I mean,
crazy.
you straight up say Doc is the problem.
No, there's no question about it.
And so how does that relate to his son? And the way his son, because you had some unsavory things to say about.
And if people do not seem to like Austin
I
Rivers,
think that got blown out of proportion. Like the thing with Austin, like if you ask anyone, you can even ask Austin. When Austin came to our team, I was the first one to put my arm around him. Like, yo, this is LA, man. You got any questions, anything on and off the court, let me know, because playing in LA is not just basketball. There's a lot more to it. You know what I mean? I think where the disconnect with people disliking Austin is he has an arrogance about him.
Like an undeserving meaning, like you
somewhat.
have an arrogance because of your dad, not because of your skill.
Somewhat, you know what I mean? He was walking around like he was actually Chris Paul and had all Chris Paul's accolades, and you know, he was, you know, kind of turning his nose up at things, and I know for sure in that locker room that rubbed people the wrong way, so I can only imagine what it did to, you know, people he played against. So I think that's where that people not liking Austin kind of came to a head.
So how did you weren't there, but maybe you can explain what's the real behind this whole Chris Paul secret, and they storm into the locker room the other week and that whole thing.
I mean,
were they really going after Austin Rivers? Is it?
I think, you know, talking to culprits on both sides, they were trying to see what Austin was talking about. You know, he was talking a lot of trash on the bench. And you know, the Clipper locker room, there's a hallway between the Clipper locker room and any visiting locker room. So it's really like you can walk into the middle hallway and get to the Clippers locker room easily. And like I said, the Chris and Blake not liking each other, that kind of goes back for a while. You know, I have mixed feelings on that. But you know, what I was told, they were just trying to go see what Austin was talking about, because he was talking a lot of trash on the bench.
So what you saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened.
And that's that.
Yeah.
How often does that sort of thing happen behind the scenes in the NBA?
It just depends, you know, because at the end of the day, the NBA is fine happy. You know, I lost probably $500,000 in fines in my career. So, I mean, they'll fine you for anything. So, at the end of the day, like, unless something really happens on the court, most people aren't going to fight because it's going to cost you too
So, what
much
could
money.
someone have said if you're Austin Rivers to make Harden, Chris Paul, who else? I mean, this is literally.
They said he was talking trash the whole game, right? It was that's what.
Trevor Ariza, I think Trevor's my little homie. He went to UCLA, so I think, you know, that was the main person that was really upset. But I don't know what he said, but I just think the fact he probably could have said maybe not too much of anything, but it coming from him, it just rubbed people the wrong way, man. You know what I mean? So it's an unfortunate situation. But, you know, like I said, Austin's a hell of a player. You know what I mean? He's come a long way, very talented, you know, can do his thing, but just like I said, the way he moves around, it rubs people the wrong way.
You say Isaiah Thomas needs to shut up and find his role with the Clippers. I mean, with the Cavaliers.
And that was two different, the way they tried to play. That was two different things we were talking about, and they put both those together.
Got it. So that's taking a little bit out of context.
Because I said, you know, normally when you go to a team, you kind of sit back, shut up, and find your place. And then they added me saying, you know, he needs to shut up and fight. You know what I mean? So they took
got it.
different parts of a conversation and threw those together.
See, if you would have never been on these reality shows,
good
this
point.
would
Hold on, bro, let's keep it 1,000 though. While Matt's sitting
crazy.
here, he might tell you he doesn't like all the attention. We're not going to pretend like you don't like being forthright about your opinions about the NBA.
Oh, no, I have no problem speaking it, because I think too many times, you know, the NBA feels like because you're a part of that, you know, they own all of you. You know what I mean? And to me, at the end of the day, I'm a man, I'm a father, you know, I own businesses. You know, this is my employment, you know, but you're not going to stop me from speaking the truth, taking up for people in other sports, speaking about the president, because at the end of the day, like, this is my job. It's not my, you know, it's not my life. My life is more important than my job. So I'm always going to be forthcoming and very brutally honest about, you know, how I feel and speaking the truth.
Are you where does your career go now? I know you're working on some things. Obviously, you love working with cancer and raising money for cancer and fighting that fight.
I have a cancer foundation, Athletes First Cancer. I lost my mom to cancer in 2007. So we started off kind of doing health clinics, screenings, mammograms, you know, free health fairs, but I kind of want to get more hands-on. So I'm in a transitional point right now of either creating a scholarship for kids who beat cancer and want to go to college, or some way of just helping pay medical expenses. That's what I've been doing.
Because that's the story, right? Because families go broke.
Man, it's crazy. If families go broke, it destroys the family in general. And then, you know, if you're fortunate enough to beat it, like, what's next? You know what I mean? So I really kind of shifted my focus to teen cancer because, you know, my mom was a teacher and education was important to her. So my thing was like, you know, this, depletes a family if they don't have insurance, and sometimes they have insurance, it still wipes them out. So you're fortunate enough to beat cancer at 17, 18. Like, what's next? You know what I mean? So we want to help kids.
In the process of dealing with your mother, what did you learn that you could share with us? Because, on this show, we talk about drinking water. We talk about, the types of food you eat.
Right.
We talk about diabetes and coming. Like, no, I don't think anybody here is vegan, but we definitely, I'll say on the morning, look, you shouldn't be eating animal products every day. Like, that shouldn't.
It's scary because I just think, the further we come as a society, just the more information we have about stuff, so all these documentaries about what to eat, what not to eat, what to drink, it's hard. At the end of the day, you just want to somewhat stay healthy, drink a lot of water, obviously. But I just learned that, not only obviously does it affect the person, but it affects the family, it affects the friends. It's
Definitely.
it affects the whole support system. You
Now,
know what I mean?
Was cancer something that runs in your family?
No,
so
it was
a surprise.
it was random. By the time she was diagnosed with 4 cancers, all in stage 4, and died within 26 days.
Wow.
So it was bam. Like,
Wow.
she got it. She had it, but by the time she found it, she died 26 days later.
Well,
It was a whirlwind of things.
How long was that recovery process for you?
Man, it was a while because you got to think she was diagnosed November 1st. So November 1st is technically like opening night.
Yep,
of
that's the
NBA.
start of the season.
You know what I mean? So that season was really a wash. I kind of started feeling better around February, March. But to lose your mom, when people talk about cancer and loss and that kind of stuff, it never really affects you till you lose one of your own. You don't understand the magnitude of it, and especially when you lose your mom. There's not you only get one mom. There's nothing like losing a mom. So it was tough, and then being the oldest of 3 kids, and then I kind of took on that mom role of just kind of being the rock for not only my dad but my brother and sister too. So I really never had a chance to kind of vent and get it out.
How old are you at the time?
I was 27.
You're 27. You said
Yeah.
27 is that's still pretty young to now take on that role for your family.
So it was definitely a learning experience, and what it came through was, my dad and I had a rocky relationship. Our first 27 years, he was a drug dealer, drug addict, abusive to my mom and I. So we kind of never really connected until my mom passed, and it kind of gave him a chance to kind of wake up and sit my brother and sister down for the first time and explain why he was so fucked up to us growing up. You know what I mean? And
What did he say?
Just that he was abused and he was beat, and he
He didn't know how to be a parent.
Exactly, and everything he went through, he put on me and my mom. You know what I mean? So I really didn't. To have my dad there the first 27 years and just look at the man and like not really mess with him was crazy to me. I didn't know if I'd rather not even have to see him, or the fact that I saw this man every day and there was still no connection. You know what I mean? So when he sat us down after my mom passed and kind of broke it down to the way he came up and the way he is, the reason why he is the way he is, it really made me understand a lot more. And now we're great. So so through my mom passing, that was the one blessing was my dad finally woke up and became a dad.
So yeah, that's the silver lining.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
What's the organization again?
Athletes versus Cancer.
And is athletesversuscancer.com.
Yeah. Or is it .com or org? Yeah,
So
.com. Yeah.
You also mentioned you're working on some TV shows and some movies.
Yeah, man.
What are you working on?
Man, we lucked up, man. I'm working on. We got the life rights to Huey Newton, so we're gonna work on the Huey. We're working on the Huey Newton project, taking that back to Oakland. So we're in the midst of that. We just got funding and the script, so we're building our cast. We got Keith Powers playing Huey Newton. We got Wood Harris playing Eldridge Cleaver, so we're on our way to kind of building that cast. And right now is the perfect time for that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
We just saw Black Panther the other day.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen it yet, but Ryan Krugler is actually my homeboy. He played college football with my little brother, so he used to come to my house and sack all the time and eat up all my food.
Yeah, he's from the Bay too, right?
Yeah, he's from the Bay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been on, hats off to him, man. He's going to be the hottest producer in Hollywood, after this film. But I heard nothing but good things. I actually went up to Disney while he was finishing it and saw some rough cuts, and because I pitched him, I want him to direct my film.
What'd he say?
He said after Black Panther slows down, and we're
Let's
gonna sit down
figure
and
it
talk
out.
again. So
I think that would be, I've gone on my soapbox, I guess I'll call it, about, the Black Panther character being in the Fantastic Four in July 1966, and then October 1966, Huey and Bobby Seale at Merritt College, they start the Black Panther Party. And, I haven't been able to find, like, documentation, obviously, of them saying, yes, we named it that because of that. But they were college kids.
right.
Why else would they have done that?
You take yourself back to that stage, and you're very rebellious at that age. And
But even just to see a comic book character,
oh yeah,
Be like, this is perfect.
Right.
this is
Yeah, it's a
perfect. It's
good
from
fit.
Africa.
Yeah.
It's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
yeah. I mean that probably has to be researched, but it makes sense.
and then and me, I'm loving every day of it, of being from Northern California and having family members that were in and around the Black Panthers, knowing what it felt like for them to feel like the world basically came down on them when they were trying to do the right thing for their communities, right? To have all the news media and press and paper, the Black Panther Party is the biggest threat to American society that we've ever seen, da-da-da-da.
What?
To come all the way till now,
crazy.
and you're driving around and there's just Black Panther everywhere in 2018. I love it every day.
I think to even take a step back, I think where this whole racism thing is just a lack of understanding. You know what I mean? So you think back in the 60s, 70s, anytime a black organization gets together and bands as one, it scares white people. It scares people as a whole in general. You know what I mean? So the first, they want to push their narrative. Okay, well they're trouble, or they're killing people, they're doing this, and
they're terrorists, like Black Lives Matter.
And they don't really understand the whole movement, like I said. So it's a lack of understanding. So of course they're going to push that that negative stereotype on that group. When if you do your research, that wasn't what they were about.
Research, people don't really do that.
Nah.
Yeah,
It's
research.
not how it works. It's not how it works. Well, look, man. Hopefully, when this time comes for this movie, come back through, man, or screenings and the whole look. Any way we can help, that's my zone. I'd love to be a part of that.
No doubt. Yeah, we're going. Like I said, it's a perfect time for it right now. With all the racial tension and this Black Panther movie. It's not the direction we're all just the name, like you said, the name Black Panther is out there. But it's time to educate people and show them what that group was really about, especially because although things have changed, they haven't changed that much since back then.
Yeah, and Huey being, at the time when he died, when he was what, 30? Was he even 30 yet?
You just may have turned 30, and around that age.
I think he was found dead in a drug den.
No, so what it was he left. The people were supposed to, I think, Jim Brown, Richard Pryor, they're supposed to do his movie. This is how the story that the guy that I'm working with told me, and he found out that day that something fell through, so the movie wasn't going to happen. So he went to go pick his son up from school and never made it to get his son. So back when he was Huey, he used to kind of just punk the local drug dealers. You know what I mean? So the dude he ran up on to get some stuff, they say he was clean at the time, but still somewhat using. The dude he ran up on, he just tried to punk him, and the dude wasn't having it, so he pistol whipped him. And Huey said, go ahead and kill me and make history. And the dude shot him, killed him. So I think it was a fallout, like I said, because he was supposed to have his obviously his story told on the big screen, and it fell out that day. May have triggered something. Left to go pick his son up, and then try to run up on the wrong drug dealer and got him.
Wow. Well, I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna be amazing. Matt Barnes, salute to you, man. Thanks for coming by and being so open. Y'all give it up one time, Matt Barnes.
Yeah.
AthletesVersusCancer.com. Go support.
Yeah, we do a big celebrity football game every summer in LA. Last year we had Chris Brown, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, DeAndre Jordan, The Game, OT Genesis.
The Game be at everything.
Snoop.
Yo, he's ready to play basketball, football.
Yeah, he picked the run. He's a diehard athlete. So anytime there's any kind of sporting,
You hooped with The Game before?
I haven't played with him. I've seen him play. He could play a little bit. So.
I see y'all getting into it. I see.
That's good.
Something's gonna happen.
Though. That's healthy.
Something's gonna happen.
That's healthy. That's what's supposed to happen.